Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience Podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience Podcast.
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience Podcast.
Hello, Ruffy Refrano. Oh, where is my buddy tonight? It's not him sitting there. He's a good-looking guy, but that's not Ruffy. That, as you know, is senior dude Hank Mole, filling in for my boy Ruffy. Mikey Cologne on the Wheels of Steel, filling in for Gonzo, who's on another cruise. That guy does more cruising. I've never seen somebody go on more cruises than this guy, Hank.
Yeah, that's that Chiefs money.
He's a big chief. I forgot. Right. Thanks for filling in last minute, senior dude. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Hello, all my buddies out in Leatherhead Nation. And basically, Coobs, all you did was you replaced one old guinea with an older guinea.
Good point. Yeah. We wop swapped is what we did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One busted one for another busted up one. That's it.
Yeah. We got an Irishman on tonight, though, man. We got a guy, salty. You know, you say the word getting salty. What'd you think, Hank, in the pre-show? This guy's salty, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want to tell him he got on the year that I was born. I'll save that till he comes in here. But guy's been to some. I think this is the first time we had a guy on from like one of the original Squad 5.
Yeah, he's has a great career, which everybody's going to hear between all the things he's done and companies and bands and you name it.
I think he's gone to a fire or two. I'll go out there and say, I'll go on a limb and say that. Yep.
Educated guess.
Yeah. Anywho, let's keep Ruffy in our prayers tonight. He had a little brush. I don't want to say with the Grim Reaper, but I kept telling him, stay away from the light, little buddy. Don't go to the light. Stay away from the light. He had a boo-boo belly. I don't know if you guys remember last show with Vinny Dunn. And then the next day, I think he said he got up in the middle of the night and he passed out and he puked and he was bleeding internally. It was a big mess, and they're still trying to figure out what's exactly going on with my boy. So we wish him all the best. I was clutching my beads the other night, saying the whole rosary for him, Hank, a couple of times in a row. My buddy, I mean.
Yes, Louis, we got you in our thoughts. I'm sure whatever this is, you'll kick it down the road a little bit. We'll be back sitting here,
we're friends for almost 43 years. We're buddies now, man. That's a long time to be friends with somebody. He can't go nowhere yet. Right. Got to keep him around a while.
You sound like you're giving him 1 foot in the grave already. He's going to be fine.
I told him. I said, good thing. See, his daughter just got accepted to a really good college, and you're not taking a dirt nap. I said, so, exactly. We got everything going for us, right?
This is what happens when you get when you retire. Things happen, and you go from one doctor's appointment to the next doctor's appointment.
Right.
That's just it. And you play golf in between.
And then when you hang out with your friends, you talk about everything that hurt you. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is killing me. Oh, shit. Yeah.
You got a good doctor for this. Yeah. That's what. I go to retired meetings down here. By the end of the meeting, it's, hey, you got a good doctor for the eyes? Or
I got a lump over here. I got to get checked out.
I got to get my knee replaced. Who's had that done? That's what it is.
That's me. That's coming up soon. I
ain't
going to miss a show. I'll do it with my leg up here. Whatever works, bro.
From the hospital bed, baby.
I'll do it from the hospital. But behind
actually, when you get your knees done, you may be 2 or 3 inches taller.
I'm hoping. God, that would be great, wouldn't it? Wow. I hope that happens.
You won't look like you just came off a 2-week ride on a horse.
I definitely. For people who see me in person, it looks like one knee's going this way, one knee's going this way. It's a mess. Anyway, let's get to our commercials because I'm excited to get Lieutenant Ed Geraghty in here.
Yes. All right. Word first from our friends over at New Jersey Fire.
Established in 1930 and under the current ownership since 1987, the New Jersey Fire Equipment Company handles a complete line of fire department equipment and supplies. Headquartered in Greenbrook, The company operates full 3M Scott service facilities in Ridgefield Park and Toms River, staffed by 10 fully authorized Scott certified technicians with a fleet of 6 fully equipped service vans. All New Jersey Fire technicians and sales representatives are active or retired firefighters, officers or chief officers, career and volunteer. They understand the business and the importance of their work. New Jersey Fire has represented Scott since Earl Scott entered the SCBA business at the end of World War II. Among other leading manufacturers represented by New Jersey Fire are Globe and Firedex Turnout Gear, Mercedes Hose, Task Force Tips and Akron Brass, Hygenol, Firehooks, Arctic Compressors, MSA Carnes Helmets, ChemGuard Foam, Alkalite and Duo Safety Ladders, BA Face Shield Protectors, Truckman's Choice Saws, Grove's Gear Racks and Washer Dryers, Supervac Fans, RPI, Streamlight, and many others. A New Jersey incorporated and based company, sales and service are limited to the state of New Jersey. Find us now at www.njfe.com. That's www.njfe.com.
You gotta love the brothers out there. Look at this. Coops could shit standing up and just keep his shoes clean.
And Procaccini's in there too. He's like
I know,
permanently saddle
they're
sore.
killing each other. They're killing each other. Yeah. All right, let's play the Armor Tough really quick, and then we'll bring in Lieutenant Geraghty.
All right, hang on a second. Let's see if I can find it here in the queue. Armor Tough coming up. Need a new floor for your fire station? Choose an Armor Tough interlocking flooring system to cover your aging, stained, cracked concrete or epoxy floor. Around for nearly 20 years and proven to be the best choice in renovating your station floors, covering nearly 600 floors across the country, Armor Tough is proudly made in America and comes with a lifetime warranty, with floors that are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, and no disruption in the process to your station's operations. Our system is guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. If you damage one tile, you can lift and replace without anyone knowing. And once it's installed, your floor would be easy to clean with just soap and water. It's not only for apparatus rooms. You can install an Armor Tough floor in virtually any room and choose from the hundreds of colors from the Designer Series, or, if you like, from the Utility Series floor coverings. Are you in need of gear racks, an extractor, or gear dryers? Install an Armor Tough floor in your apparatus bay and take full advantage of a deep discount, saving you thousands of dollars on any of the Grove products line. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that'll need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? The Armor Tough flooring system is half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue, more importantly. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer departments nationwide who have chosen an Armor Tough interlocking tile floor. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
Excellent. And like we told you, my man Vince, they give you the giant logo on your floor. Free. Fireman's favorite word, Hank. Free.
Free.
So you treat
Free.
plastics. Yep. Call up my man Vince at Armor Tough and get yourself a floor. They even put one in the gym. Did you see that, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask Gabe Fox about that, but he wouldn't know anything about a gym. Oh, shots fired on Gabe Fox. All right, let's get him in here. Let's get him coming to the stage. This is I'm getting overclumped here. This is Louis' part. I get all choked up when my boy's not here. Coming to the stage, we got Lieutenant Ed Geraghty. Well, and that mustache. That mustache, that's our guy, that mustache. Did you see that? I don't know where my thing is. That's our logo, that mustache.
Yeah.
Right behind you. Right behind you.
Oh, it is right behind me. There it is. That's you. Welcome to the show, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Guys, sit back, get your sharpen up your pencils, and listen to this man, because you want to talk about fire duty. This man has seen some fire duty. But let's start way back. Let's go back a little bit to the early days of Lieutenant Ed Geraghty. You grew up in Queens, it says here, right?
Coops, you're forgetting
Grew up in
something.
Long Island City.
Time out, Mike. Thank you. I got to put a pause on here. We got to get patriotic. I'm very sorry. I am remiss. Sorry. Do it, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful. Best country in the whole wide world. Now we can get into it, Lou. Let's go back to Queens. Let's turn back the Wayback Machine. How far are we going back?
Well, at the beginning, Long Island City is the projects, the Queensbridge projects.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I actually grew up till I moved to Astoria.
A tough neighborhood, Queensbridge projects.
Back in the day, it was a crazy place there. It was starting to get real crazy there, but
right.
It was still the projects.
Big family, or
yeah. Then we moved to Astoria off Ditmars, 31st Street, where the L ended down there, the apartment houses there, and yeah, it was a great neighborhood to grow up in.
A lot of Greeks back there too, or they came in afterwards.
Now afterwards, and now it's international, and it's all young kids there today. And who can afford it? It's so expensive.
Oh yeah, it's right outside the city there, so it's an easy commute right to Manhattan.
It's a great place there, and again, that's where I was appointed in '68. Well, I got appointed a job in November 30th, '68, but we got assigned to Engine 263.
Which is right in your neighborhood.
And it really was at the time, because I got married, I still stayed in the neighborhood there. So I was literally walking to work there,
But you worked with Con Ed before that, right?
Yeah, before that.
What year did you get to Con Ed?
61 maybe, or 1960.
1960.
Somewhere. And then, like I said, I got that phone call in the office there. They called me up, and the guy says, "Do you want the job, kid?" And I'm saying, what job is he talking about? Because at that time, they were giving fire department, they're giving police department exams every Saturday. They needed so many guys.
Really?
Free. They didn't charge you at all. You just walk into any of these places, take the test, and you'd be hired in no time at all. So I thought it was that, but it was for the fire department. So again, he says, "Sure, it sounds good." Went down to Robert O'Lowry's office that day, got sworn in, and went back to work and told him I'm leaving. And that's the same day they went on strike. Conde went on strike on November 30th.
Wow, good timing.
Yes, it was very good timing for that.
Would you have taken the PD if it was PD?
I think I would have then. You know what? I was too short. You had to be 5'8".
How dare they? I wouldn't have made it either.
And, yeah, you had to be 5'8". They didn't change that till many years later.
Really? Did we ever have a height requirement in the fire department?
I think they did. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think they did at all.
No, not even back in the day. I thought they did have it might have been 5'6" or something, but maybe not. You would know better than me.
Maybe it was. Yeah. But there was we went to probate school in Welfare Island.
So it wasn't even at the Rock yet. It was Welfare Island.
It wasn't the Rock. Right. It was Welfare Island. Right. And I don't remember too much doing too much on it. It was only like 4 weeks maybe.
So Lou, back Welfare Island was that the tip of Roosevelt Island, or was the whole island back then called?
No, it was the separate island there, and.
But did you have to take the bridge to get onto 15 onto Roosevelt to get?
I had to ask somebody that make a phone call the other day. You came in through Queens, I believe, through
right 21st Avenue there or something, and you took the bridge down, right?
Yeah, right past Engine 260.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then drove over the bridge there, I believe.
Okay.
So far back, I don't even remember it.
But that was still close to you too. I mean, for Welfare Island was close to Astoria.
Yeah,
that was an easy commute for you.
I don't hear anybody commute. Nobody really commuted that far, it seemed, at the time. Everybody lived local.
Right. What made you want to take the test? You said you had no family on the job, right?
Of course, one of the other guys were taking it. grew up in a building there. It was like 10 buildings all attached. And we had like 50 guys there, so a couple of us took it. Everybody went every which way,
Right.
It wasn't like your private dwellings and, you don't know who the other people are next door to you. And, but when we finished probie school, they told you had to go to your local firehouse and find out where you're going. That's what they didn't have the information. So he said, okay. So I went to Astoria, knocked on the door, went in there, and I told the guy, two of us, two probies, wanted to know. So where we're going. He says, you kidding me? He says, where are your elbows? How come they're not hitting the door? I said, do you have any beverages? Cakes, coffee? You got anything?
Cake?
No.
What do you got?
He says, no. He says, well, get some. And I says, I don't have any money for it. Neither of us have any money. He says, you still want to know where you're going? I says, yeah. He says, go outside and look up. And it was 263. He says,
Wow.
That's where you're going, right here. He says, and he says, you didn't know that? I says, no. And you know who that guy was breaking our shoes? Bobby Beckwith.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
You know him? Becky
Yeah.
was the guy with the president standing on top of the car at the
That guy?
Trade Center.
Yeah.
Wow.
He passed away last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we were friends all through the years, just working with him and all that. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. What happened to him? He traveled all over the world as an emissary for the fire department.
Did the other guy go to 263?
No, he went 262, I believe. The other guy,
right down the road.
Yeah. And but that was Beckwith. That's he only passed away a year ago, maybe.
A year ago, yeah.
It was 91.
But he was some character, but so that's how we became friendly with him.
So that was 117 was the truck.
117 was the truck.
Did they have the wall there? Were they separate back then?
They had the wall there. They had
Right.
the wall there and all that. So we were. It was a great house. All guys are great. A lot of old timers in the house. And then they started the interchange, where you were every third night. We went up to the Bronx, to La Casa Caca. That's what they called it. The guys, and it's sometimes a lot of guys didn't. Some guys didn't want to go up there. Like on a Saturday night. I remember putting a mutual on the board there to get off on a Saturday night, and it was a interchange night, and they were all laughing like nobody was going to. Somebody did, of course, but some of the old timers were there for 30 years. They didn't particularly care for it up there because it was a different world up there. On a weekend, in the summertime, there's people everywhere. There's fires everywhere. The truck was there, 42 truck, squad 2, 73, and it was just crazy.
Did you catch
Lou,
him
as a young guy on the job, did you enjoy going up there because of the fire duty? Were you looking to do that?
Yeah. It was a different world. It was a different world than we were used to, and we had a couple of young guys that liked to go up. So we went up there when we put in a mutual. We take a mutual just to go up there.
Right. I was going to ask, did you see the young guys would grab a mutual so they could go up to the Bronx to try to catch fire?
Yeah, they did. We really enjoyed it. And all the stories you heard about it, and a 42 truck was a nicer place. With 73 and the squad there, it was just crazy. The dishwasher used to empty right on the floor. The cabinets, none of them had doors on it. Some of the old timers there who with us, they would never sit on a couch or anything. They never went up to the bunk room. They just sat on a hard chair, like those school chairs, and they'd spend the night there. We went to a lot of fires. Do
you remember your first fire in 263?
Actually, the first fire I had, it was an accident on the Grand Central Parkway where a couple of people died, and I saw guys doing like CPR on people before. We used to do it with the CFRD or anything. And that was, it was pretty bad, that one. But and the fire, it was just a basic fire. Nothing to remember there. It was just that small house fire in the area there. But it was a great house. The guys were great.
Right.
And but they were different. The officers were different. You know, you up in the Bronx, they were just great fire officers. Great fire officers. And
So
stayed there a couple of years, and then went up to Squad 5. We got, not that we put in for it. I put in for a couple of houses, but that was the big lift. All the second sections were being closed. And that's an original squad. Look at that.
What did you guys have? What kind of rig did you
had
guys have?
We had a regular pumper.
You had a pumper?
Yeah. Where'd they get that picture? I don't know where they got that picture from.
I sent it. I sent it to Mike. So you went to there in 74. You went to Squad 5, right?
Correct. And it was a mixture of guys transferred in. Some guys were left over from 41-2, and some guys from 41 stayed there in the squad there. So,
so it was in 41's quarters, Squad 5.
Yes, in 41's quarters.
Oh, you must have been going to
a lot of characters came in that came in from other companies and all that, and it seems like some guys got there for punishment. You know.
I did hear that they would send guys to the squad for punishments.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what the story was. And there were a couple of characters there. We had one lieutenant that got jammed up in Queens there, and they sent him up there. So he was very bitter, and he's always cursing everybody out and all that. Great officer. He did his job and all that, but he was
disgruntled.
Well, yeah, that's what they sent him up there for punishment.
Now, did you guys do regular, 6x9 and 9x6 tours in the squad?
We're still in 6x9s and 2 day tours, 2 night tours. So they still didn't get into 24s yet.
And how were you operating? Were you just going to, on a 1075, you would go to a job, stretch a line, put the fire?
We'd go into 41 engine at 6 o'clock. At 6:30, we'd leave. We'd go to 82 engine. 82 engine would go to Queens on the interchange. They interchange with 295. So when 295 came up, we left and we went to 92 engine. And when 92 went in the back, and we were 92 for the up till midnight. That's what we did.
All right. I remember something about midnight, right? So okay.
Midnight, we went back to 41, and we only went to 1075s. Yeah.
And what was your role at the 1075? Whatever they needed?
As soon as they came in, we'd go. And they always had that expression, take up squad. That was us. We always took up right away as soon as the fire was under control, because we would be going to another one very shortly and all that, And
how would you operate there? Would you operate as an engine? Would you do whatever?
It's an engine, yeah. Yeah. And I remember Chief Griffin. He was up there. He's an old timer. He used to always come over to us and take up squad, and we'd go back and go to the next 1075. We do that all night,
So how many 1075s would you go to in a night?
You'd go to 3 or 4, maybe, some 5. Some you wouldn't work at, but we went automatically to them,
Were you stretching your own line off of your rig, or were you stretching off another
sometimes,
rig?
Sometimes, but other times you'd take whatever's closer to the fire, so we'd get out of there, If you get tied up, hooked up, you never get out of there and all that. And,
right.
And then
guys are mumbling when it's in.
And then we do the opposite thing. We go to 92 engine. They'd interchange with a company, I don't know where they'd go, up north Manhattan, North Bronx. And then we'd be 92. And then when the interchange company came, we'd leave, and we'd go to 82. Or sometimes a different company, but we spent a lot of time in 82. And they'd go in the back, and we'd be first up for 82, unless you got a job somewhere, and everybody would go. But a lot of times we leave.
When you say they go to the back, you mean they would actually back their rig on the back of the apparatus floor, and you guys would go in front of them? And I don't think a lot of guys understand it. That's what I was. That's what I was getting from it. That go.
Yeah, they
were
go
out of service.
And then and then we'd be first up. Then we'd be the first till midnight. Then we'd go to 85 engine. They were in the tin house there on Boston Road. The same thing there. 59 truck was there. And I don't know how we squeezed all the rigs in, but then we had 85, and then it was us. And we'd take in 85's runs till midnight. And
So
then
you guys would be jumping around all over the place.
you never knew where you're going to have a meal.
I was just going to say to you, how do you have the meal? You never knew what you're eating, right?
Eating, and you don't know, and that happened a lot. Sometimes we'd flag it and just get sandwiches somewhere, or you'd go back there and wrap up the food and bring it to the 41's engines quarters there, and then we go to 50 engine was the best because they had the old house. They had a 3-story extension where they built, and they had volleyball. They played in there. They played paddleball, and they had a gold room, they called it, where they played cards. Guys in 41 in the squad, they were into game masters, and they played it all day and all night sometimes, and they played it in 50. And 50 engine had the deputies even in quarters. They had it was by far, for me at the time, it was the best house. Yeah, and when he finally disbanded it, there you go. Finally disbanded. They said, "Where do you guys want to go? Anywhere you want to go?" And I went to 50. So cut right to the short on that. But the deputies were there. The lieutenants were there. My lieutenants there with Tom Martin. Tom Martin, Bob Love. Do you remember Bob Love? He was.
I've heard their names, but they were a little before. I got on in '79, so they were before me.
Yeah, they were legends and all that, and
right.
Both of them, and the deputies were there. Were the best. They were the real old timers. Nemechek.
Nemechek. Right.
Al Nemechek, Bill Burke. They were old timers, and
you have a lot of World War II vets as the old timers.
I guess those guys were.
Yeah.
Because they were old timers to me when I go in there. I said, they were old, and they were great. They were just super. And so they said, when you transferred, where do you want to go? And everybody got their spot and all that. And I went to 50 and all that. It was a great house, still is. My son was the captain of that. My son just retired, and he was the captain of Engine 50.
Really? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he gave that up. And and I worked in the truck and the engine. Yeah.
What truck was in with them?
In 19 truck.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's a busy place, right?
Yeah, it's still busy and very busy. The engine's up there doing EMS and all that.
So even though you got to play cards and volleyball, there was a lot of interrupted games.
Yeah.
Interrupted meals too, right?
The meals. And I just joined the band and I used to carry my pipes with me, and I always put them on the bed, the hose bed. And I said, with all the places we go to, and it's parked a block away from the fire, and the chauffeur would leave it there, and everybody go to the fire, and somehow nobody ever. The kids used to climb all over it. They never
touched it. Never took it.
Never. They used to point to and say, "What is that in there?" But then I stopped bringing them to the.
What year did the band form?
The band started in 1962. I started in 1975.
Did you play the pipes? Did you play the pipes before that, or you learned to play?
Oh no, I was playing at 75. You had to learn on your own. And what happened when I was in the squad, in between tours, a lot of times it's a good time to go out somewhere.
Uh-huh.
We used to go to sometimes to Long Beach because the guy fireman owned Kenny McGuire owned Chauncey's. So we used to hang out at Chauncey's for the day, and then come back in that night, which was cool.
I live right down the block from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was Kenny McGuire was a fireman in 19 truck.
Dude, there's so many firemen in Long Beach. Always has been, man.
Yeah. But instead of I'd go out once in a while. I couldn't afford to do that anymore. I'd go to take private lessons with the bagpipes for a guy from an old timer from the Transit Authority, and I'd go up to his house up in North Bronx there, and spend the day with him playing pipes and all that. And then
how long were you in the band for? Your whole career from 70?
Yep, to 50. I'm the senior piper there anyway, and the senior drummer is, I think you guys know Tom McTeague, right?
Yeah, we had him on the show.
You had him on the show with his robe on. I heard
He's that shit crazy, man. He came on in a robe, and I don't even know what kind of hat he had on. He was nuts in his bathrobe.
You never know with Tom.
You never know, right?
It always reminds me here that he's a senior guy in the band.
He throws that at you every once in a while. He's a senior man in the band.
I says, well, I'm a senior piper. And, a tough time marching anymore, but I still play with the guys in the, the funerals and all that.
You still go out, huh? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's a whole new story. I mean, I get to 2 podcasts on that, on the band itself, all the places we've been. There you go. There's a picture of the band. Yeah. And naturally 9/11, all the funerals we did.
Oh my God. Yeah.
We did every funeral, every plaque dedication, memorial service.
Street dedications.
They still do, and it never ends. Street, like I said, street. We just had one for Bobby Beckwith, just a month or 2 ago. But after the funerals, they said they didn't find anybody, and when they did find parts there, and they'd have another funeral.
Yeah, we had 2 of them. Yep.
So and they're still doing it.
So you got any fires that stand out to you while you were in the squad that you can recall? Like,
there was a lot of fires. That something we just learned recently that when my son Tim and all that, how I forget how they used to operate. They used with 41 wood. So the squad picked that up too. They'd go to a fire and 2 guys would jump out, grab the line, and go right in the building. You don't even know what happened. And the other guys, 2 guys, were putting masks on, getting and then helping stretching. But that's how they got it. They get into the fire. So if you came in as the 3rd or 4th guy with a mask, you're going to get a piece of that fire because the other 2 guys had nothing.
They're going to get the shit beat out of them, and then you'll.
Yeah, and they did, and they did, so you get a piece of a lot of fires there. The one fire that stands out, which somebody just gave me the address, the date, 1977, the Yankee Stadium fire, and the Howard Cosell was.
When he says there's a fire. Oh yeah, I just showed my kids that.
The Bronx is burning.
I was detailed to a 55 truck that night, and when we went to the fire there were remount and all that. I remember this guy. I saw Al Reese. He was from 19. Go through one of those big windows and into the building. And as soon as he's in a couple of minutes, and the whole floor lit up. Must get all kerosene, all diesel oil or whatever. You could see the flames running across the floor, and he was in there. He started getting roof ropes to try to rescue him if they could find him. Then he jumped out another window, and he came out, and that was the end of that. They told us get rid of our rigs and just put towel ladders there. And we went around the corner to a bodega, and we watched the World Series and the fire from there. And the whole building, the whole school went on fire, and the whole country saw this. So if anybody thought that the Bronx wasn't burning, then that was an eye opener, for that.
What did that look like back in the 70s? It had to look like somebody had mentioned to me. It looked like post World War II, like everything.
That's what it looked like.
Is that the actual pictures there?
Yes, that's the video from the 77 where I have it on mute.
It's right there, 16 minutes into the game.
It's on TV, and this whole building is burning. And you know what? There are a lot of schools in the South Bronx that they just walked away from. They locked the door and just left it. And people got in there. There wasn't much to burn in there because they were all fireproof, but all the furnishings in there were taken, or just the people just went in there and took everything that wasn't nailed down. It was amazing.
Right.
Hey, Lou, just to clarify for everybody listening, when you said the first 2 guys would just grab the line and go, and then the 3 and 4 man with, the control and the doorman. Back then, you didn't have the 4.5 strapped, behind you. That was when
they were in a
they wanted to
compartment,
get
right?
the line going, and the 3 and 4 man used to have to take the old Scots in the suitcases, right?
Yeah.
The 2.2s with the spider web straps on, and it was a whole rigmarole to put that mask on. That's why the first 2 guys wanted to go and get the line going, get water on the fire.
Yeah, and they did too, and they had a lot of good, like the firemen from 41 engine and 41.2, and it was a different world.
Right.
I think tough guys.
Yeah.
A lot of characters too.
Yeah, I remember when I got in, and they would just at that point the 4.5s had come in, and I think the nozzle and the backup had them. And if you had 3 or 4, you still had to go for the suitcase. I was 79, and then shortly after that, everybody started having the 4.5.
You were riding the back step when you got on, right, Hank?
Yeah.
Both of you?
Yeah, they at that point they didn't want you riding the back step, but it was kind of like, we don't want you doing it, but we don't see you doing it. So at least in the ghettos you were doing it,
right?
And then a year into it, then they put the kibosh on.
You must have been doing that the whole time, though, right, Lou?
Yeah, just about the whole time there. I can still remember. They had rigs uncovered. That was you couldn't interchange unless you had a covered rig. It was. I don't know what they had on. I don't remember that, but there was
plywood. I think I remember seeing some old rigs with like a plywood canopy.
Yeah,
and the plywood box over the seats. And
a few times when we had so many guys there, you get detailed. One of your first tour or second tour and all that, and I used to get detailed to 73 engine. Like what I tell you, and they did the interchange, I wouldn't go on the interchange. They leave me back, and when the 263 came in, I was the CNI, showing them where all the boxes are, because a lot of guys didn't know that,
Oh, that's what you wrote here, the CNI dog, right?
Because the CNI tonight, and it's stay behind the chauffeur there in the compartment and just tell them where to go and all that.
You were a human route card.
Yeah, and the guys I worked with in Astoria,
Yeah.
So, but the officers were really. I get stories here. So we they changed the format with the squad so many times. A lot of times we just went to 41 engine and just went in the front for them, and they unless there's a job somewhere, then everybody went and all. But they started something else which I remember. It was like I say, it happened to be a company, a 44 engine in East 75th Street, Manhattan. They had only one man coming in, one officer, one man. So instead of trying to get guys hired, they transferred them out for the day, and we became 44 engine. We drove down to 75th Street. Now you get all that time working in the ghetto, especially in the South Bronx there and all that, and you run the apron now of a 75 engine on a nice day. I mean, you get the best apron going. And everybody hung out outside, of course.
Yeah,
and, talking to everybody. And what happened after a few tours after we did that, we got a call from the deputy. He's no more going into Midtown like that, because he said James Cagney made a complaint. The actor,
really?
Cagney, yeah, he said there were a bunch of slobs standing out in front of quarters there. Of course, everybody was dressed in those denim jackets and open boots, and they had the ghetto look and all that. And they didn't, and they got a complaint there, so that was the end of doing that. And we stayed in the Bronx.
Mike Milner says, "Hello, Ed. It's Electric Head."
Yeah, Mike was a 19 truck guy.
Yeah,
Worked with Mike. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
He's from Jericho Fire Department.
Maury. Yep.
Is that the one with the green fenders?
It may be. I can't tell from the same one.
Yes, there's green fenders on it.
Green,
Yep.
the bumpers and
yeah.
Bumper
No, I
is
see.
green.
Yep.
Yeah.
that was we got this brand new rig into quarters.
Look at the buildings behind it, all burnt out.
And the captain, Tony Alva, he was a legend up there. He took the rig to a shop, and they had the bumpers painted green. It was a great idea because a lot of guys are Irish in the company, and they thought it was the greatest idea. Then we go out to the Rock for training and all that, and Dudley Class sees it. He's the chief of training, and he just said, like, "What is that? Like, are you kidding me?" They went back to quarters that day. The shops came and took
your green
away.
bumpers off. How dare they?
And they repainted it and brought it back. And then he wanted a letter sent to him, chief of training, and why they did that. So Tony Alva and a couple of guys, they made this letter, and they were zinging Dudley's ass all the time there and all that. And they didn't want to do it. They were protesting. And he says, "You got to do it." He's the chief of training. It's the right thing to do. So they did it. And then we got a picture of Kermit the Frog from Chief, who's the commissioner then? Chief Hines, Joe Hines.
Joe Hines.
George says, like, "Sorry, guys, but it's not easy being green." Joe Hines. And, he wanted to let us keep it too, but he didn't want to buck his staff guys. It just happened. That's why that picture. So if you have a picture of that only lasted a month, maybe.
That's it? And you got a picture of it. Who got the picture of that?
Joe Pinto probably did it. Do you know Joe Pinto? He was in a couple of, he's a buff, and he takes all the photos of all the rigs and all that. So that's his picture there. I'm sure it's his pride and joy, I think, and all that.
When you were in the squad, did they ride with the same designations as they do in the engine? You had a chauffeur, you had an nozzle man, backup, doorman.
Yeah. It was it was the same thing. It was just
and did they ever put you to work as a truck or no?
I think once one of the guys, the chiefs there, just told us to go in there and get a couple of tools. We carried tools, but not very often there,
So it was mostly engine stuff.
Just engine, but we did a lot of running around, and it was fun. We had a really, really good time. And the officer, I remember, our captain was Irving Schneider. He's a Jewish captain there, and he was from Staten Island. And I said, "How did he ever get to the squad? What did he do to get to the squad?" Because he used to come in there all the time and come into the kitchen, and he says, "You Irish guys," he'd be shaking his head all the time and laughing. And I don't know, like you said, he got the spot there. It's very unusual there. And we had Jimmy Healy, who became a deputy. Marty Hughes, Lieutenant Marty Hughes, he became a chief. And a Tom Fenton, Lieutenant Tom Fenton, the officers there. All good officers,
Do you think you caught you saw your most fire in the squad or somewhere else?
Probably when on the interchange with 73 engine, going back there. Some nights we had a couple of young guys there. We would never tap out, but everybody else, the officers, tapped out all the time. They get the tour off, or they get 2 hours off, or something like that. And we didn't, because we were new there and all that.
Right.
And but I think the truck too, 26 truck.
You had to a lot of work.
14 years there in the middle of all the projects.
Yeah.
A lot of projects. And
a lot of big names went through there. We'll get to that.
They did. Yeah. You're right on that. Yeah.
Yep. So let's talk about. We talked about the seeing eye dog. Let's talk about when you got laid off. We talked about that a little bit in the pre-show. How they so gracefully informed you that you get laid off.
Exactly. Remember sitting on a windowsill there, and it was like, I think it was July 4th. There's just rubble everywhere. It just, there was that Charlotte Street. They always show that picture, like every time the presidents came in or any big shots. And
where were you working at the time, Lou?
In the squad.
In the squad? Okay.
Yeah, with the squad. And we see the battalion come pop in there and drive in over the rubble and all that, and the aide gets out laughing with a clipboard and he's waving it, and he says, "Okay, guys, I got the list," because the rumor was out there what was going on in the city. You know, everybody was getting cut, and then he start reading off the names. You know, and you Murphy, Ahern, Geraghty, you all gone. You're laid off. Get out of here. We dropped everything. Went back to the firehouse, and we all tapped out and waited for the doctor to give us 2 hours off. You wasted the whole day on it, and that's how it was.
Wow!
And I got back in a week. I was only gone a week.
Oh, that's not bad. I was going to say, what you doing?
Well, there was nobody left in the job. You know, a lot of guys got laid off.
How much time did you have? Well, you got on in 68. This was 70 what? 70?
75.
Right. So you had some time on. They went by seniority, right?
Yeah.
A lot of guys went to drive buses, I think they said, right?
They did. They got jobs with the transit authority.
Right.
And so they were.
So you got laid off for a week. Were you married at the time? Do you have kids or?
Yeah, I was married, and you know, people were calling me up, offering me jobs. You know, relatives, and they say, "I get you work here, construction or something like that."
Right.
And then eventually it calmed down. You know, after that was it. You know, everybody. My brother-in-law was a school teacher. He got laid off. Just, you know, a lot of people got laid off. It's the workforce. Then they had to reevaluate themselves and get them back on there.
Didn't a lot of firehouses, like when you would collect house tax, or get each guy was throwing a few extra bucks in?
I was going to say that. Yeah,
we did. We did that.
Got laid off.
I can remember the guys giving the guys money, and it lasted for a while, and then it just stopped. You know, because I don't know why people were coming and going and transferring out and in and.
So what did they do? They called you up and they said you like a week later you hired back again?
Yeah, I think they did call up. In fact, you know, we kept calling the firehouse. You
got to go where you wanted to go, or how did they? Where'd you go after that?
Went right back to the where I started. You know, the company, same company.
Squad. Oh, because a lot of guys went somewhere else, right?
Yeah,
they offered them, right, but you were able to go back to the squad.
Yeah, went back.
Oh, that's good.
Back there, and they said we had some characters there too. There from, you know, everybody had a story behind them, and so it was an interesting place. And then when he finally, the rumor was it's going to close like in 2 or 3 days. So I was working that day. A couple of guys from the shops come in, and they go. Says, we're taking the bell. The bell you probably had it, a big chrome thing on the bumper.
Yeah, I got it sitting right here. 17 engines when they
Took
disbanded.
that off the rig, and they took it to the shops and all that. And he says because they knew somebody was going to steal it. Souvenir they wanted.
Yeah. And
then the next night they took the whole rig, so we were still free for that night and the next day. And the officer said, "Do what you want to do, you know."
So
you can work
what do they do? They send you somewhere else, or they just?
That was close. I went to. We had papers in, and I went to 50. I put in for 50, and there was no contest. I mean, between 92 and 82 and 85 and 50 and 19 was just the best house. The deputies were the best. The officers were Tom Martin, and they were real legends and at a fire. You know, they really knew what they were doing. Tom Martin's still around. He's at everything. It's him. He's at everything. Bob Love passed away a couple of years ago, but
so you said you transferred there in 76, the old quarters on 166th Street.
Yeah, we moved to the old quarters in 77. May, I think it was May of 77. And that's nothing. We were moving from around a corner only, but we were moving with the rigs. We were moving everything until, you know, we had lockers tied on the back step of the truck, and we tied a bunch of stuff on the back of the engine. And after a while, you know, the captain there, we had a Captain Sullivan, told him, "We really can't be doing this. This is insane." And taking the runs in, you know.
Right.
And so he called up the chief, and they sent a whole bunch of guys from the shops. I don't know what they were, light duty guys, and they moved the rest of the stuff out of the one house to the other. So we're in a brand new house, and of course our appliances. We had a brand new refrigerator, stove, brand new kitchen, brand new house. Somebody took the refrigerator, because at night they think nobody was in there. So then they had to put a guard in there.
Security guard. Guy
working overtime. So
the ghetto, right, Hank?
Yeah. And but to this day, I think it's with all the city boroughs. I think the Bronx is the least changed borough. It's changed like everything is. The Harlem changed like overnight.
Right.
Before I got out there, and the Harlem's a great place.
Brooklyn, the same thing.
Yeah.
Areas of Brooklyn have gentrified like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's and it went fast. But the Bronx still, you can ride around now and still change, but not like it everybody else did.
Right.
And,
hey, Lou, you mentioned the layoffs. Yeah, you got rehired in a week because you had some seniority, but there were guys that were laid off for what, 2-3 years? Yeah,
a couple of years.
I didn't know it was that long, Hank. Really, 2 or 3 years? That's a long.
I remember when I in 132 there was a fellow by the name of Jimmy Polite who was the last guy to get rehired, and I think that was like 77 or 78 when he got rehired.
Wow,
really? Yeah.
Yeah.
What is 132? Is that the eye of the storm?
Yeah. 280 and 132.
McManamy?
Yeah, Mike McMiniman was in the engine.
He's in 26 truck there.
I think so. Yeah, I think he went there or something. I don't know. If it's the same. If it's Mike McMiniman, is that who we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, they used to break his shoes big time.
Then it's the same. It's the same one.
What does this mean? Like, what is that?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I'll let that one go. All right. So you're talking about in here too. You got Loading Up the Box with Matt Daly. It's a new book that's coming out in the spring.
You have enough people signed up for it so they're going to print it. They're going to publish it. They just don't publish books unless they get enough people said they're going to buy it.
Right. So who was Matt? Tell us a little about Matt Daly, because the chief.
He's a Con Ed guy. He's a Con Ed guy, and
I know that.
He's a buff, and he was the band photographer. With us forever there. And he had a stroke then, probably about 10 years ago. So he's a little tough to get around and all that, but he still takes his pictures and all that. And he buffs more or less out at Rescue 3.
Right.
We kid around. All his pictures are really from the Bronx and not from Harlem. What are from Harlem, not the Bronx and all that. But all those great pictures you see there, always look at the bottom there and you'll see it's by Matty Daly.
So he's got a book coming out in the spring. We're gonna have to get it up there where you can find it, because Lieutenant Chief Dunn was talking about it too. So
well, that's good. If he's talking about it,
what's the title of the book?
It's called "Loading Up the Box" by Matt Daly.
Yeah. Loading Up the Box. It's dispatches talk, when they on the radio when they want to fill out the box, I guess. That's
Is it just going to be pictures, or is it going to have interviews of different firefighters too?
It's a good question. Good question. I'm not sure, but
we'll talk more about it when it's ready to come out.
Years ago, there was a buff in Brooklyn, Alex Donchian, and he did the same thing. He published a book years ago. I have it, but it's old. It was called First Due, and it's the same thing. He just buffed all the jobs in the Brooklyn ghettos. And
Michael Dick took a lot of good photos too.
With captions, who's working, but there's no interviews, but it's just all these pictures of flyers along the way.
Yeah.
Who else, Mike? Who'd you say, Mike?
Michael Dick also has an archive of great photos that are all over. You see them a lot. Dan Powder posts a lot of them. on Facebook. He has a
That's
great
cool.
archive.
Do you have any pictures before we move into line 126, Mike, that you want to get to that we haven't gotten to?
Well,
Let's go through
Yep, let's do that right now before we get to truck 26. This is Chauffeur School, 1975. When
Oh!
Squad 5'9".
Yeah, that's I didn't know they even had that. I think Kevin O'Hagan, you know Kevin O'Hagan, Shecky, they call him?
No.
Kevin O'Hagan. He found this photo there somewhere. That's me in the middle in the front, in case you can't see it.
Wow.
That's
Is that your squad 5 helmet?
Oh,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still got the stash, though.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
And just one more picture here before we get
was,
to
November 5th, 1975. I guarantee you, out of the 300 guys in there, most of them weren't even born at that time. Oh, Timmy Klett's in there.
Where?
Timmy Klett's in the chat. So is Chief Newell. Yep.
Chief Newell. Oh, that's. I think I mentioned. Maybe I did mention that before. That's me tuning up. I'm the pipe major at the time, tuning up Tommy Loughran's pipes there.
I thought you was giving a little flick on the ear there or something. I don't know what you were doing there.
Hey, tuning them up. Tommy was. I was in his study group, and I taught him piping. He was in the piping class, and he was on his way to work one day, and coming down at Taconic, where he had like a mini tornado or something. He took the top of a tree off and hit his car, and he was killed.
Oh, wow.
And that happened to be Father Michael Judge's first job as a band
Really?
chaplain.
Wow.
Tom lived in Mayapack.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and there's Jack McLaughlin again. I didn't stay in Astoria my whole life. I moved in what year was it? 74, maybe 73. Moved to Carmel up in Putnam County.
Well, all the way upstate. Oh, you're a Bronx guy. That makes sense.
Yeah, but we looked everywhere, and the house we had was too small in Astoria, so we gave it a shot and spent 9 years there in Carmel. It was beautiful.
Isn't that like right next to Mayapack?
Yeah, it's right next to Mayapack there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little above it, and we stayed there. We stayed there 9 years, then we decided to come back because it was still rural, and we came here, which was the Floral Park, which was the best move we ever made. And but the place was great up there. It was people didn't want to come up there anymore because it's always snowing in the winter there, and but it was only 50 miles to the firehouse, even though it didn't sound like it was 684. It just opened up. It was a breeze to go down there, and there was no bridge to go over. So,
right. Didn't Phil McCardle live there from Hazmat?
Yeah. He lived somewhere over there. Yeah, I remember him. I went to Hazmat school when it first it was on a department order. They said anybody wants to go to a Hazmat school. So Jack Corcoran, myself, a whole bunch of guys went for 2 weeks, maybe 3, and then we were so-called technicians.
Hazmat techs.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I none of us knew anything about it. But when I got promoted, I went to the 14th Division. I was in an R group with Hazmat. That was the stately, you had to be qualified. So I went there, and it was pretty cool. Did overtime there, and did the R group, and it was great. I worked every single house in the 14th Division and 2 R groups, which overlapped the 13th. So I could have hung out and went back to school and stayed in the Hazmat, but I decided to go a different direction.
Firebug was too strong in you. You couldn't.
It just it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I remember McGardle and all that. Then when I was at SOC, I went to school, to the Hazmat school again, and that was tough. That was the real deal. It was like a college chemistry course stuffed into 2 weeks, and Yeah, I remember going there because just in sock.
Any companies, normal companies in the 14th that you kind of liked that you might have settled into if you didn't go back?
Yeah, 138 truck. I wound up in the 138. I heard so much about it, the Corona Tigers. So I finally got my I got assigned there. I worked there, and then the spot opened up. So I was hanging out in there until they filled it. But Jimmy Splain was in 289. Did you know him? He was Balloons, they call him.
Yeah.
He was quite a character there, but he was in the engine there.
Right. Who was in the truck? Mike Pryor, I think was in the truck.
Mike Pryor. That's
his kids are all on the job
he was
now.
The chauffeur.
Yeah.
And so I stayed in it, and the spot opened, and John Carroll was the captain. He asked me if I wanted to stay there, and he says, "You're in the band." He says, "Chief O'Rourke is a good friend of his." He says, and I'm asking, the deputy said, "You get it?" I said, "No." I said, "I really appreciate it, but the guy, I only got 40 points when this one he was going by points and all that." I says, "The guy who wanted it, Eddie Herding, he was a Brooklyn guy. He had like 80 points.
114 truck, Ed Herding.
Yeah, Ed Herding, a nice guy.
Yeah,
terrific guy. And he wound up getting the spot because he had the time and everything else and all that. And I thanked John Carroll for putting me in, but I says, no, I don't want to do that. That's worse. You're using all your weight to get somewhere, but you don't have the time or anything. So that was the story with that. So after that, he got the spot. I bounced around some more, and then I went to 26 truck, Jack Corcoran. Back to that, he got me in Vinnie Boland's spot, the union spot.
So where was he was lieutenant there at the time? Corcoran?
Yeah, he was a lieutenant, yes, Jack Corcoran. And
how did you know him before that? From 19?
From 19 truck.
Right.
When 50 and 19, he was in 19, I was in the engine, and we were just friends together. And he lived up in Warwick. He was from Queens. He moved to Warwick, stayed there for 7 or 8 years, and then he wound up coming back to Elmhurst. He lived right around the corner from Rescue 4.
Right. He was captain of Rescue 4.
Yeah.
Right. And I told you I met him because I have a side business of ATMs, and it happened to have one in the bar that he was in, like you said, had his own personal seat there. And every time I go in there, he was such a gentleman. Sit down, talk to me. Let's talk about the fire department. Let's talk about this. How you like the squad? Just a nice, overall, genuine man. Like, you couldn't get a better guy than him,
You couldn't get a better guy. And we became good friends, played golf together. And he's the one who's, when I put in for Rescue 4, he was going to bat for me, And he got mad at me. He said, I never saw anybody get mad. He says, I did all I could, and you didn't, because you knew Von Essen. And to go to the mayor, if you have to, the commissioner, actually. Von Essen was the commissioner. He says, you should have saw him and all that. So I didn't get the spot, but I stayed 6 months in there.
I didn't know you even worked. You don't have to. You worked in Rescue 4 for 6 months?
No, SOC in 6 months.
Oh, SOC. But you put in for the spot in Rescue 4.
Yeah, and it was always the big deal on the job because this is before the squads.
Right.
So it was very, very tight organization, right? People didn't leave.
No.
Guys who had the spots and all that.
Right.
And, so I stayed and then bounced around. It didn't bother me bouncing around, I grew up in the city. I knew where everything was. And
did you enjoy being in SOC? Was it a different?
Yeah.
From first to work, was it?
Except for two, Rescue 2. They had their different act.
Right.
They're different. And when I went in there, everybody knew who I was. I was the guy who didn't get the spot. Everybody.
That's
and I went to quarters in the kitchen there, and they go, "Hey, Lou, you working tonight?" Yeah. Where you from? I'd say 26 truck, and he says, "Oh, that's in Greenpoint, right?" I said, "Yeah, Greenpoint." And where were we before that? And I said, "Well, it was in 50 and 19, and they were in somewhere Long Island City, I'd say, something like that." And they were just pulling my chain, and I said, "Where were we after that?" Before that, I said 5. immediately got everybody's attention. Because they didn't know where it was. And I started telling them how we used to operate 92 and 92, and I really laid it on, because I knew they were interested, and they were fascinated, I think.
That got their attention, right?
It did. I enjoyed it. And Jimmy Jaggett was there. Do you know Jimmy Jaggett?
Yeah.
He was a 26 truck guy, too. Yeah. And crackerjack fireman. The guys, when I used to go to work, my riding lists were full of guys like that. And
so you don't get
enjoyable to go to work.
You don't get the spot in 4, so you go up to 26 truck.
Yes, that's about it. They went up in 26, and I stayed there for 14 years, I guess.
So, but you were telling me in the pre-show, you had to go talk to a bunch of guys, right? You had to, because it was the spot that was the UFOA union.
Yeah, Vinnie Bolin spot.
Right.
Vinnie Bolin was the UFOA president, and so it was his spot. So I had to see him. It was see him to get his blessing, and that's what he did at the union meeting.
Dominus Holmes, you got the spot. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
and
also
Joe
known
Curry,
as the Fire Factory, right?
Factory, yeah, of course. And I think who else was from the Fire Factory there? Vinnie Dunn. He worked there way back. I think in the engine there.
In the engine, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I think he worked at the
So
engine.
does the chief of hazmat, Fanning. He worked up there, right?
Jack Fanning.
Yeah.
He there's the guy. Yeah, good guy.
Me and Louie tell this story all the time. When we first came to the squad, and we ran into Chief Fanning or anybody else in hazmat for that sake. You automatically put this label on them like they've never been anywhere, right? Because they're in hazmat, and you come to find out that Chief Fanning was like a 26 truck. Then you see him at something, and he's got a chest full of medals here. And you're like, wow. What an asshole I was, man, thinking this guy's never been anywhere,
He got the 332 in East New York.
Yeah, I know, right? But automatically, he's in hazmat. Where was this guy,
He was in 59 truck when they were in accordance with Engine 85. Yeah. And to this day, it's one of those Quonset huts they call it. It's what do you call those buildings there? It's the tin house.
The tin house, like the tin house in Brooklyn. It was the same thing.
The truck and the engine, and then we'd squeeze in there. And where was their room? I know in the back they had a pool table, and we used to go there. The terrible meals. The meals were like 35 cents, and you got about 35 cents worth of food. We couldn't wait to get out of there. We'd stay there till midnight.
Cooking beans.
Hot dog and some potato chips or something.
And you had so much other places. It's 82 was the same way. They were they used to have all Dennis Smith was there at the time, I think. And they had more buffs from everywhere going to 82 engine there,
Probably, especially after he came out with the book, right? I mean, guys must have been going there like crazy.
Yeah, it's but the place wasn't like 50 or 19 anyway, and at the time, so
you're going on record as saying 50 and 19 is the place.
and so my son, when he came on the job, he went to 19 truck.
I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, everybody says that. How did that happen?
I wonder how that happened. So he went to 19 truck.
And then he got promoted and he became a lieutenant in 58 engine. Then he made captain, bounced around, and he wound up in 50 engine.
Look at that.
and he just retired, just left.
Was lieutenant in the Fire Factory video. That's you?
That's
somebody says you were the lieutenant in the Fire Factory video.
They want to know if you were in the Fire Factory video.
Him or his son?
Yes, no. I was in the video. The video, the Fire Factory video. They're talking about the band. Yeah, I was interviewed there for that. That was a while back.
That's a lot of work there.
20 years. Where in
26? Would you
say?
Yeah,
of course. We were. You can't say you're the biggest or the best and all that, but
you could say
we were in the top 10. You can offend somebody, but top 10. like.
Were you there for the Schaumburg fire, or did you get there after that?
I was there. I wasn't working that day, but I was there for that. Jack Corcoran was the officer.
Okay.
Jack Corcoran.
I was working in Rescue 1 that day. I was fairly new in the rescue when I had that job.
Is that the one that was the compact fire originally, Hank? Or?
Yeah. 26 was first new truck. And
they're right down the block, and he was at the door of the apartment, and it was cherry red.
Yeah,
as they're going down the hallway.
Yeah, because the compactor chutes were right next to the entrance doors, so people were jumping. They were jumping from from one of the floors. I think there was like 7 fatalities on 3 different floors there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was terrible. Well, one of the pictures before, the 2 senior guys, Ed Roberts and Tom.
Go back to that one, Mike.
I think this was 1988 right here.
Just the 2 guys. They're in civilian clothes. Tom was the McCarthy. He was the chauffeur, and standing next to the rig there, the bodies were coming right next to him.
Wow.
The kids.
Right. There was that's when there was still a 2-5 battalion then, because I remember the aide on the we had been turned around and we were heading back, and all of a sudden the 2-5 battalion transmit a second alarm. We got people jumping, and we turned around and started heading back. And and I remember fire was showing out the windows on 3 different floors, like the 33rd, the 32nd, and then there was heavy smoke coming out of like the 27th floor. It was a lot of fire in that whole building. Because they were doing work on the sprinkler system, so of course they shut it off and it was never turned back on for the weekend. And then the fire was in the compactor chute, and that building was built with federal funds, so it didn't have to meet the city ordinance, the fire codes, and everybody was cut. They couldn't get out of their apartments because the compactor chute doors were right next to the entrance doors. So fire was coming out, and it was taking that whole wall. So the only place people would go was they either jumped or they were hunkered down in a corner.
Yeah, they were in the back bedroom there, and they what are you going to do? You jump.
Yeah.
Jack said he thought he was going to die.
Really?
It was a tough fire. I remember we hooked it up. We ended up having to walk because the elevators went out of service. They were like central core elevators. Water was coming down the shaft. So by the time we got there, the elevators were no go. So we ended up hoofing it up.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
Bad fire. Yes, bad. Yeah.
So it's
I was just wondering. I didn't know if you had that fire, but you said Corcoran had it, huh?
Jack Corcoran, he had the fire there. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Just realized that where you guys met together, Jack, and the grandstand.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy just died recently.
John Brown.
Yeah. He passed away. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a nice guy, man.
A couple of times. I know you mentioned that name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack was his home there, and
no matter what time you went in there, he was sitting in there. Always open for a conversation too, man.
Good friend. I was one of his pallbearers, and that was good guy. What am I going to tell you? And so we worked together quite a bit.
So Lou, you had obviously you had a ton of fire in your career, but when your time as a lieutenant in 26, you have 1 or 2 fires that particularly stick out that were tough or something out of the ordinary happened?
There was a picture before. You might have saw my head at the window there.
Yep. Hang on. Let's pull that up.
I think my son Timmy got that picture. That one there.
Okay.
And the one thing I still ask my son, where's my hood? Unless it's before hoods, I don't know when the hoods came in.
It might have been before hoods.
Because that's not, I would have had it. I'm on the 2nd floor of the building here. We look up. That's where we thought the fire was. We went up there, and the apartment door. It was a vacant apartment. It was chained, closed, and luckily, one of my guys. He was from 14 Truck. In fact, went down and got the bolt cutters, and the two guys just took everything we had to break the chain. And we went in this apartment. In the middle of the apartment is a bathtub. Just sitting there and all that. So we trip over that, and we're looking around for the fire, and next thing I fell through the floor there, and I straddled like the beam from underneath, and the fire wasn't up there; it was down. It was in the cellar. Came up through the first floor, into the second, and the fire came out the windows there, and I went up my legs and all that, and I got burnt. I can't show it there. Got my ears burnt and all, and all I thought about, where was my probie? I had a probie too, from 14 truck, and he got out. The entrance the other way, guy grabbed him, then he went back in the hall, and I went to the window and looked out. It's like 100 firemen out there. They must have called in a second or third alarm right away. And my neighbor next door, Mike Monahan, I saw him that day, and he says, "You were so lucky that came out, and you managed not to fall through the floor there, you know." Just
like the beam caught you, right?
Yeah. And then it just lit up. Everything lit up. So, but everybody was looking in the street up at the fire. Meanwhile, the fire was in the cellar. It was a Chinese restaurant, and they left the cooking oil on and all. And on the first floor, there was a Chinese restaurant, but they didn't go down the cellar. And
had the fire weakened the floor, or was it that the fact that there was a vacant apartment above that it was just kind of rotted wood?
Just one of those things. Yeah, it was a vacant apartment. It was ripped apart and all that. Even though they were still operating a Chinese restaurant down there, but that there was a lot of fire there, and I don't know how I got out. If I went down the ladder, or I went out the entrance door there. But
you wind up going to the burn unit for that?
Yeah. The time we were actually just at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But we went back to where I got a doctor there who was like gave me a lecture on the ears, how important it is, how sensitive they are. If they get burnt or anything, you can get disease and this and that and all that. So he had me bound this way and that way. And then I went back to the firehouse that way. And what an uproar that caused. They thought I was dead, that way, They thought it was a joke, and I couldn't go home that way. He says, "You walk in your house that way,
oh my God,
yeah, you're gonna be in big trouble." So that was like the chief said that. He says, "I've never been scared of the fire till this one." He said, we thought we were going to lose the 3 years up there and everything else, but it worked out.
Wasn't your time?
Excuse me?
It wasn't your time.
No. And we went to a lot fires, especially because I had, and the guys I had with me, the same 4 guys you see in the those other pictures there. They were the same 4 guys I used to work with all the time. Mike Fitzgerald, you know him?
Mike, he ended up in Rescue 1.
He went to 4.
That's a different Mike Fitzgerald then.
That's Paul Baldwin on the left.
I was going to ask you if you worked with Paulie Baldwin.
Right.
That's Paulie Baldwin, yeah.
Right.
He came to squad with us.
Right.
And Mike Fitzgerald, me, and then Tom Martin. These are the guys I was telling you about.
Okay.
Yep.
Martin.
And then Tom and this other.
But it's the guy.
Right? Yep.
These are the 2 senior guys. On the left is Tom McCarthy. He's the one who said he's operating the pumper and the bodies are crashing around him from Schaumburg.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Eddie Roberts there. He's doing okay, but Tom's not doing too good. He's got dementia and whatever.
That sucks.
He's not doing too good.
Right.
So you hear
You had Paulie Baldwin in your groups?
Yes. Yeah. Paul.
Yeah. His dad was at one time before me, was the captain of Rescue 1, and then he ended up in Rescue 1.
Oh, yeah. I knew somebody like that. Yeah. Yeah. He wound up, they never came back though. I never, I don't know what happened to him.
He came to squad 288 and then
squad with us.
We haven't seen him.
Yeah.
He's still, you know what, Hank? He'll still hit me up once in a while on a text out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's so strange. He's a strange bird. I love him. He's a strange bird.
I worked in 288 too when it was before the squad. It was 288.
I'm sorry.
You get a good night's sleep?
That was a real camp.
Sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
289, I had a couple of fires there. yeah, that was a busy place. And
138 had a huge response area, man.
Yeah.
Huge. Like if you're from Brooklyn or somewhere and you go to 138, you're like, where are we going home or something? This place is huge, their response area. They go all the way from Flushing to Corona, sometimes to Long Island City, sometimes to Maspeth, Hank. It's just the response area is huge.
They told me there when you go heading to Flushing, maybe shouldn't say that stories, but they said just remember when you go out there, you're assigned second due, you're going to be first due.
Yeah.
He says, well, I don't know. They're trying to tell me something there.
I don't know.
And then, but we caught a few fires. In fact, we had a fire where made a couple of grabs, and we wrote one guy up there. Let me tell you his name, and he got a B out of it, maybe something A or a B, and I got a letter from. Can I take an intermission here a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. What about you, Hank? You got to take one? Intermission?
I think he's looking for the letter.
Yeah.
Actually. I'm
I don't remember who he.
Don't pull me into an intermission because you're thinking about it.
Might be in a cup, bro. If guys don't know already by now. You got to be.
This
kidding me.
halftime report is brought to you by
By Louis Rufano. Oh, my girl Cindy Drake is in the chat.
Hi, Cindy. Good
Love
to see you.
Cindy. Love me
Glad
some
you mentioned
Cindy. Always watching the Cup of Joe. Listen, you guys, could you start sending some more stuff in, bro? I'm running a little dry. I don't want to keep asking you to send in pictures. I guess you guys have no company pride. You don't want to send in pictures of your rigs or your kitchen table or the fires you've been to. Send them in, will you? What do I got to do? Bash you over the head every time? Crying out loud.
He's in the chat. Joe Schneiderman.
Joe Schneiderman's always in there. Timmy Clip.
Rock
Oh, Johnny Philpello. What's his name? I
Philpello,
said it.
yes.
I love that guy too.
Ask Clett because I don't see the chat. Ask him if he's going to be in Orlando in February.
Clett, you're going to be in Orlando in February? Hank wants to know.
All right. Lieutenant Geraghty has returned. Lieutenant.
I have returned, but I have a problem here. My
What's the
wife,
matter?
she fell last night.
Oh no.
Yeah, and
You need to sign off.
yeah,
Okay, we could sign off. No problem whatsoever.
All right.
You gotta do what you gotta do, my friend.
got to do what I got to do.
We'll
And,
pick this up. We'll do a part 2.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2. Don't worry about it. Don't do what you gotta do. We'll close out the show.
All right.
Okay,
Take care,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right, take care.
Pleasure
Good luck.
hearing your stories.
Good luck.
thank you. It was
No worries. Do what you gotta do. We understand.
it was
All
a
right.
trip. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Hey, have a
problem.
great night. All right,
Okay,
that's a
sign
shame.
up.
We'll have to.
We'll get him back on. Good
Get him
guy.
back on for sure. He has some more stories to tell.
Absolutely.
All right, so Hank, how you making out of it? We love the fact that you have no problem with your internet anymore.
I didn't want to say anything. And just
Now that you said that, Coops. Now that you said that,
There
it's
was
good.
one point when you had a picture of 26 trucks rigged, it was getting a little crackly and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Ah, you've been great. Hank's at his new digs, his new palatial estates out there, and wherever he is, I forget.
Colette just answered. He said he's got his niece's wedding. So, all right, sorry, I won't see you this year, Tim.
Tim, I know I've been telling you this like a million times. We got to do that training on engine ops.
That'd be good. Hank, I was going to say really quick, just before it slips my mind, it's amazing. You guys didn't work together, meaning you and the lieutenant, but it's amazing how many people you knew.
Oh, it overlaps.
Yeah, you guys ran in the same circles.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll tell you. Remember, he mentioned that fellow Ed Herding.
Yes.
Right, and I said, "Oh, Ed Herding, 114."
Yes.
I tell you, I mean, Ed was a senior guy because the way I met Ed Herding was I was a youngster working for Pan American Airways,
Mm-hmm.
and I had taken the test to be a city fireman, and I was waiting to get called, but I was still at Pan Am. So this is like 1978, and one day they told me we need you to drive these papers or something. It was somewhere in Brooklyn, so they gave me directions. There was no phones with GPSs or anything. It was like written directions. So I take my car, and on the way there, I noticed I passed the firehouse. It was 114, and I forget the engine. If it wasn't, I think it was a single house.
Single house, and then now they're with 201, I believe.
Right. So on the way back after I dropped it off, I says, you know what, I'm going to go. So I stopped my car and I knock on the door, and Ed Herding answers the door. He was on house watch.
Really?
So I said to him, hey, how you doing? I'm waiting to get hired on the job. And, I just happen to be passing the firehouse. I'm working at Pan Am right now, but I got a few minutes to kill. So he said, hey, come on into the firehouse. So he brought me in. We went into the back, had a cup of coffee. Guys were there. They were real nice. We were just talking and everything. And, and I always remembered, Ed Herding was the guy that let me into the firehouse. He was a real nice guy. And then, later on the job,
you know what that is? Lafalaka Suckle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, I think Frankie Sufton's asking us about the, yes, Louie and I will be at the Long Island show. That is the 31st, 1st, and 2nd. 31st of January, 1st and 2nd of February. Come into the booth, hang out with us. Frankie knows. Frank. We have a couple of, a couple of those. We tell fire stories. A lot of big wigs there. Come on down. I had the thing in there, Mike. Did somebody erase it? Did Gonzo erase it? I might have to show
banner.
Is it here? Oh, there it is. Check it out. Long Island Expo, January 31st, February 2nd, Nassau Coliseum. Come out and see us. There we go.
There you go.
Before we go, we have to play the FRC commercial.
We certainly do.
We do.
Let me cue it up. Our friends from FRCE. The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders, too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
All right, so my old school health and safety tip of the night is something that Hank and I were talking about in the pre-show. If you got a problem, get it fixed. Right, Hank? I mean, this is what we're talking about. I'm getting my knee replaced, but I should have got that done 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, because then it leads to other problems. Now my hip's bothering, my other knee is bothering me. So same thing goes for anything. High blood pressure leads to a ton of other medical complications. So if you have something, we got medical coverage. Go get it taken care of, because one problem leads to another problem, leads to another problem.
Right.
Bang.
Right.
What do you think about that?
We do talk about the psychological end, and we talk about the heart and all that. But when you do a job like a firefighter and you do it for 20, 25 years, you also have lots of orthopedic problems. We don't tend to talk about that as much, on the air. We talk about it when we get together. But you get beat up. You're wearing a mask on your back. I don't know hardly any firemen that don't have some type of compressed vertebrae or haven't had an injury where they need their shoulder operated on, their knee operated on. And then you're good when you're young because you rebound. Then when you're retired and like you say, we're talking about now, and you're looking for quality of life, you work your whole life. So hopefully you can enjoy your retirement. You find out you got, you're limping all over the place because of this or that. Don't wait to get it taken care of. Get it taken care of, because they're very good at putting, metal parts in us now.
Yeah.
And, I'm doing stuff now since I had my knee replaced that I didn't do for 10 years. So like I said, I should have got it done sooner.
Yeah.
So,
Mike's looking at us like, what are you talking about? Like, he's 20-something years old. He's not even paying attention.
We're all fine. We're all tough guys, cement heads. I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, you can, but there's also a better way.
Right. Here's another thing, too. Listen to your wife, because my wife's been telling me for 8 years, why don't you get your knee replaced? Why don't you get your knee replaced? Why don't you get your knee replaced? I'm like, So finally, now that my legs are going this way, I have to get it replaced. That's it. That's all I got, Mike. Listen, I hope my Hank, thanks for coming in short notice. I appreciate the WAP swap tonight, man. It was awesome.
My pleasure.
Everybody pray for my boy Louie. I love him. He'll be fine. He's on the mend. We'll get him back here soon. Is it the anniversary of the Father's Day fire coming up soon, or am I wrong?
That's June.
Father's Day, June.
Not Father's Day. The Black
Sunday. Yes,
Black
that'll
Sunday.
be next week.
It's next week. I knew it was coming up.
January 23rd.
Okay, so also coming up, I just booked a guy who does documentaries. He's an award-winning documentary. He put together a documentary on volunteer firefighters. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have him on. We're going to show the trailer, and we're going to have a viewing. It's going to be up here in New York somewhere, but we're going to rent out a theater and do a viewing. It'll be a great thing. I don't remember when he's on. Sometime in February.
Oh, one more thing, Chief Espo, if you're listening, if you're out there, can you get my boy Kevin and Louie into the shops, please?
I want to do a
trying to do it
for crying out loud.
And there's a lot of people for other departments that are interested in our shops when they hear the size of it and what gets done there.
You would think the guy sat next to him in rescue school, but now he's a bigwig. Now he's chief of department. I can't talk.
So let's get them into the shops. Right. I think that show won't be as big as The Rock, but it'll be up there.
Oh, it'll be up there. Everybody loves rigs. Who doesn't love their rig, bro? Come on.
All right.
I'm going to call him right now as soon as we hang up.
All right.
We'll say, yo, Chief Espo, let's go. Come on.
Yo, Johnny.
Johnny, let's go.
All right.
That's all I got. You got anything else? Oh, we have a shout out tonight, Mike. We have
we do. I have a few shout outs after this, but first, let me share the screen here so we can highlight this one. Stand by. Take it away, Coops.
Oh, you have to read it, Mike. I can't read with my fucking glasses from here.
Okay, so this is Avon Volunteer Fire Department Deputy Chief Dave Terrio. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I sincerely apologize. He unfortunately is currently battling cancer. Pardon me while I get that back to the tab. And this is his GoFundMe. We're going to paste the link in the chat just so you could assist naturally. As you can imagine, during a process like this, the bills can pile up and it can get to be a lot. So I'll copy and paste that link in the chat so you can contribute to his GoFundMe. Of course, all the proceeds will go to his family to pay for his cancer treatment. So please keep him and his family in your prayers during this very difficult time. We know how evil cancer can be, and we want to make sure that we not only look after the chief any way that we can, but his family as well.
Thank you, Mike. Also, we got producer Pete making his comeback. He's coming on the show. He's going to talk about everything he saw out in California. We'll talk about the fires a little bit, and our prayers go out to the brothers and the people who lost so much out there. And I know it's a big political mess. I've had problems on Facebook with guys all over the place on this, and all I ask them to be is just be respectful. But it got out of control. We had to start deleting chats. But anyway, we're going to have Pete on. And we're going to talk about those fires in a respectful manner. So if you're in the chat and you get out of control, Mike over here is going to boot your ass right out. But we will be having him on as well. And we got a couple other guests. I don't know what the hell on my phone, but
the bottom line, the first responders out there are busting their ass.
Hell yeah, man! Right? They don't need people second guessing them now. We can leave the politics for later. This is not about a political agenda. It's about the brothers in the Leatherhood Nation, bro.
Right. And like you said, all the people that are affected.
Oh my God!
We're all in the same country, so let's.
I think I heard today 11,000 structures burnt to the ground. 11,000 structures. That's crazy. It's insane. Insane. Hank, again, thank you. You look great, man. Look at you with the tan. He's still got the head of hair. Now he's not even limping around. It's fabulous.
It's been a curse I've had my whole life. What can I tell you?
Must be a nice curse to have.
I hope you get the call soon. I just talked to Procaccini and Lou. We are going down there to film a show, and Mike gets sworn in. Yes, we'll be going out to dinner. Even if Gettin Salty has to pay, as long as your mom sits next to me at the table, we're all good, bro.
All right, Louis, feel better, and Leatherhead Nation, be safe out there.
Be safe. Just a couple shout outs really quick before we go. One's belated. These three shout outs. I'll see you guys this Saturday. Shout out to Jake Gannon, Eric Stalzer, and Sarah Elkins from B Shift. Look forward to see you guys this Saturday. And a belated shout out to my friend Kyle Lang. He's on where Procaccini is now. He just graduated last month for the Stanford Fire Academy. So shout out
awesome. Good stuff. Procaccini told me that you guys go to a lot of work over there, he said.
Yeah, Stanford's busy and New Haven's busy too. They're
can't wait, bro. Mike can't wait to share fire stories with him, Hank. Look at him. Can't wait till he busts his cherry.
I hear you.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Remember to send your stuff in. CoopsPodcast@gmail.com. Send your stuff in for the Cup of Joe and Fuego if you want to keep it going. Until then, we'll see you next week. Stay low and go.
Boom.
All right, everybody. On behalf of Hank Millay and Kevin Kubler, I'm Mike Cologne. We'll see you next time. Transmit the 73 Working Fire.
Wow.